With my baby, my girl, my boo, she's back after her contract dispute. She has decided to come back on the show. You would think that your wife would not try to get extra money from you to do the show, but she worked. She just like, I'm not coming back, so I had to pay her some extra money. She's back again. This Tuesday with a new contract. Brenda McCain, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. That contract was with an extra penny.
Well, I don't know. It's like if you're not getting paid nothing, a penny is a lot of money.
No, it's not. And actually, I was out. Oh, change. Actually, I was out because my brother got promoted to becoming a detective in Joliet, Illinois. So I am happy and congratulations to you, Joe E. I'm so proud of you. Yes, yes, yes. Stay alive and stay safe.
Yeah, and I couldn't let the radio show just go because we had guests coming,
I
so I made
understand.
sure we was here. We had the Black Panthers on, and it was a excellent time that we had with them, talking to them. Wonderful recap of what happened with the Black Panthers. And these are people that were there at that time when they were going through all the things that the government was doing against them, the city of Chicago was doing against them, the killing of Fred Hampton. I mean, so many things that have happened, and I think that we talked about it there is that a lot of African Americans are starting to forget about what we went through as African Americans to get freedom. Even at the time of Martin Luther King, you had the Black Panthers fighting for that freedom, and they were, I think one of the gentlemen said that they were recording the telephone of Fred Hampton at his house when he was 13. I think that it's
Wow.
probably because of his parents and stuff like that. But they had recordings of his house at that time, and so we forget sometimes the things that we went through as African Americans being Black History Month. We talk about the 12 smooth stones of the tribes of Israel and how they kept those stones as a remembrance of what they went to come over to the other side of glory from the Egyptians over the river. And we talk about that, and I think we don't talk about that much in the Bible anymore either. But I think as African Americans, we kind of forget sometimes about how we had to go through so much trial and tribulation. They'll teach you about the Plymouth Rock and Columbus discovering America, but we don't really talk about African American history and what happened to African Americans. And so definitely make sure that you. I'm going to try to make sure I can get that out there. One time I got to get Kenny to help me with clean up my laptop, but we're going to do that. Speaking of things that you should not forget, Brenda, I think you've got something you want to announce before we start.
I do. 2024 SOAR Awards. It is happening Monday, March the 4th, 2024. The pre-show is at 5:30 and the main show is at 7 p.m. It is hosted by Todd Delaney and it is taking place at the Coronado Performing Arts Center, 314 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois. This year they are honoring Marvin Sapp, Ricky Dillard, Travis Green, and Kim Burrell. They are having a lot of live performances. Wow, it's a ton of people. Look like it's over 20 to 30 people, which is going to be so nice. And leading is Jacqueline Carr, Leela, is it Cherenith?
Yeah.
Lena Bird Miles. I mean, these names, Travon Perry, or is that Travon?
Don't go down the whole list, but
I'm not- that
I
was
do
just
want to say
four
this.
people.
Jacqueline Carr is also going to be hosting with Todd Delaney, and she did a great commercial
Is
out there.
she?
Yeah, we were talking about that before
I
the
know,
show
you
started.
said she was doing a
See, I told you
commercial.
she
I
don't
didn't
know.
know
You see, I told you
this
she
was-
don't know how to follow, Kenny. We were
Yeah,
talking about that
I
before we
am.
got on the air. Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
heard you say she was doing a commercial.
Yeah, but you know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She's also hosting with Todd Delaney, Jacqueline Carr. She did an excellent commercial
no more
out there.
Michelle.
I don't know. Michelle may have had other obligations at that time, but she's a close friend of Justin, so I'm sure there's a reason for that. But having Jacqueline Carr hosting and singing, oh man, you don't want to miss that. It is a blessing for sure. And we got a guest coming on today. One more thing about Black History, and next week we're going to have some of the students coming on. I apologize to Sheldon and them because I made a mistake and looked at the calendar and they thought it was supposed to be this Tuesday, but it's next Tuesday. They're going to be coming on and we're talking about education and how situations have changed where there's not going to be any preferential treatment for minorities when they're going to colleges, and which is going to cause a problem because what happens a lot of times is the colleges have to have a certain quota of African Americans to go into the school because without it, they will not select African Americans and minorities. And so that's been removed. And we're going to talk about that a little bit of how that pressure of that putting on our young African American students about schools they want to go to, not having that ability to get in there because now school can just pick whoever they want to. And historically, that has not been, very favorable for people of color. So we're going to talk about that next week.
That's a hot topic.
Yeah. So, but coming back to this week, my babe wasn't here last week, but what are we talking about on Christian Real today?
Today we are talking about my journey with God by word.
By word. Last week we talked about by faith, and I'm going to read off the things we're talking about by faith. It says we had to be prepared to move. When faith is a substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen, we've got to be prepared to move. Watch who you discuss God's plans with in your life. When you are walking by faith and you are trusting in the Lord, sometimes you can tell somebody, it can be a family or foe, family friend or foe. You can tell them about something and they will try to talk you out of how God is moving you by faith, about trials and tribulations that you're going through, and you've got to be ready for that. And the last thing we talked about by faith, it was get ready for roadblocks. When you are walking by faith, there are going to be some roadblocks. No weapon forms against you shall prosper. There's going to be things that are going to come against you, but you've got to be prepared for those roadblocks because you know that God can do exceedingly abundantly more than you can ask or think, but you have to be prepared because sometimes we think, oh, wait a minute, I'm walking with God. Why is these roadblocks? Why is these problems coming? Because that's what Satan is going to do. He's going to try to stop you. He's going to try to weaken your faith, and you have to be ready to walk it. But today, we're talking about by word. And I think a lot of times we hear the word of God, and we love to hear the word. But do we go a walk? I don't want to say walk because I'm talking about walk next week. Do we actually follow the word that we have? And I'm going to read what I have down here. It says, Hebrews 4:12, it says, for the word of the Lord is alive and active. Now we love the part where it says sharper than a two-edged sword, piercing, dividing the soul and the spirit and joints and the marrow, and discerning the thoughts and intentions of the heart. And that's not the King James Version. But here as it says, Hebrews 4:12, it says, for the word of God is living and active. And I want to say to people, you can't have, and I'm going to let my baby talk a little bit here. You can't have a dead and active spirit and connect to God's word, which is living and active. She's ruffling those papers again. What you got to say? I don't think I heard him ruffling paper at all last week. But
Yeah, you did.
you can't. The Bible says that the word is living and active. You know what that means? That the word is not sitting around waiting for you to moan and groan and Satan's bit it. No, the word is alive and active. It wants to move. You speak these words into existence, and then while the word is moving, it's not waiting for you to have a dead spirit or an inactive spirit that's sitting around saying, I wish God would just carry me through this. No. You got the word. Walk with it. It's alive and active. The problem is that the alive and active word cannot contact with your dead and inactive spirit or your dead and inactive mentality, because it wants to move forth in the word of the Lord, and you want to sit there and be moaning and groaning.
So, what you're basically saying is the word is a verb. You got to be active.
Here we go,
You gotta
English
be
teacher. Go ahead.
proactive. You got to get the moving.
Conjunction, junction,
One
cell
cell
function,
function.
tying up words and phrases and clauses like. Go ahead. It's
Anyway,
a verb. I
whatever.
like that. Go ahead.
It is a verb because, like you said, you can't just sit on it and just wait. It's like waiting for your faith to kick in and you're not doing nothing. And when God's not seeing you not doing nothing, it's like, well, why should I make a move? You got to give me something to work with, basically. And so by my journey with God, with God by my word, you have to really be proactive in everything that you're doing. Because if you're not, like you said, we sitting here and complaining, woe is me. And that's all you got. And I know people think, well, it's like playing chess. You make a move, then God make a move. Yes, you make a move, then God makes a move. He want to see how much you want something, how much you desire something. I mean, you could say prayers all night like, Lord, just if I need a new car, I need some finances. But what are you doing to help him help you? You know, like you used to say all the time, baby, it's not a genie thing that you rub and make a wish and he just grant it. You got to give me something. I know a lot of people who are not Christians saying, well, if that's the case, I could just live in the world and just take my chances out here. I'd rather not do that. But my journey with God by word, and the word itself is getting into the word, getting into the spirit, knowing the word for yourself, understanding the word. And believe me, once you seek God out, he got you. But if you sitting there like you don't know him, then okay, I'm gonna be through. You sitting there like you don't know him, then he gonna act like he don't know you, even though he never do that. He would never.
Well, let me just say that all of us live in the world and have to deal with the situations that happen in the world. So that's nothing new. It's who you want to do it with. And the issue that we have a lot of times, and this is what Satan likes about us, he wants us to be inactive with an active word. He wants us to have a dead spirit. A dead spirit is one that doesn't walk by faith. We walk by faith and not by sight. He wants us to sit there and think about all the issues that we had. Oh, this has been, and I'm guilty of it, yeah. I mean, I'm a minister, but that hits me too. I'm not, some powerful person that doesn't, deal with certain situations in life that will knock you down or make you feel, depressed or saddened. We all go through that. The issue is that a dead spirit has succumbed to the issues. A live spirit can get attacked but overcome the issues. And so when you are a dead spirit and you succumb to the issues, then Satan is going to stop you from receiving the word of God and an active word that will move forward, because now you're encouraging yourself, like David said, I'm going to move forward. I don't care that I lost my job. I don't care that I can't pay. I don't care. I'm going to move and trust and have faith in God's word. And I'm going to place that word in my heart so it cannot be hidden or taken away. I'm going to move forward. So you're going to overcome the issues by the word, because you know that God's word, as he said in his word, I'll never leave you or forsake you. And so when you start taking the word and make it active and make it alive, then Satan has to be concerned, because he can't deal with the word. He can't fight the word. When you throw the word out in front of him, he can't defend himself against the word, because he's subject to the word too. I hope you heard that. And so he cannot defend himself against something that's active and alive. So no, he has to do is make you inactive and dead, succumbing to what you're going through, the problems that you're going through. You're always murmuring. You're always complaining. You're always sad. You're always depressed. You get on the phone. You're talking like that. Girl, it's just another one of those days. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be another one of those days, because Satan has made sure that your spirit is dead. And let me just say this. God just put it in my ear. We give Satan too much credit. It's your fault. You hear me? I know people. Who do he think he is? Yes, I'm telling you, it's your fault, because you are allowing yourself not to allow the word, which it says in Hebrews 4:12, it is active, it is alive and active. And you cannot meet a lie. You remember in high school, and I got two more things that I talk about. You remember in high school, it might have been in grammar school too, where they used to give you a magnet, and they'll take the north and the south, and they would connect. I think it was the north and south connect. But if you took south and south, correct me if I'm wrong, Kenny, I think it was south and south, they would bounce off from each other, because, it's almost like the same, and it's giving the same energy out, What Satan is trying to do is take that energy and bounce it out, bounce it away from God, move it away from God. But you're trying to connect to the Spirit of God. And then when you connect to that Spirit, though he slay me, the words, yes, will I trust, though there is problems in your life. Let me give you the Rick paraphrase. Though there are problems in your life, though you may have lost your job, though you may have gotten all kind of foreclosures. If you ever listened to the show, we talked about it before. We had that happen to us too. We still in this house almost 30 years. Though all of these things may happen to you, if you attack it with a live and active spirit, then you can overcome it. So I gotta go on, because I got somebody coming here. The second thing I was gonna talk about is that the Bible tells us in 2 Timothy, Brenda, 3:16-17, all scriptures is God breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the servant of God may be thoroughly equipped in every good work. This is what I got to say to y'all today. I know y'all not going to like this one either, but it says, we don't want the word to read us. We want to read the word, but we don't want the word to read us. This, you know what read is? When, black people say, yeah, he just read you. That's like a diss. The Bible is telling you, if you're going to have the word in you, you've got to allow it to breathe in you for teaching, rebuking, correction, and training in righteousness, so that when it does, you can go out and do a good work. What does that basically mean? You can go to your brothers and sisters and teach them how to get through. But we don't. No. I don't want that now. You ain't got to correct me. I got enough people out here correcting me, telling me what I need to do. What I need the word to tell me what. If it's gonna do all that, I don't need the word. Okay, well, fine. But if you want the word to be alive and active, you're gonna have to also know that the word is gonna read you when you're dead and inactive.
Wow.
What you got?
That was a powerful punch. I like that. The word is going to read you. The word teaches you the truth, and you have to be able to be open to receive the truth, or what the word is trying to tell you and guide you. But like you said, we as people only want to read it when we want to read it, put it on the shelf again, pull it back out on Sunday morning, and pick it up from the last Sunday where we left it. And if you want to continue to do that, then your faith is being inactive and controlled just weekly, not daily. And you're trying to get to the point that you want things in your life by word instilled in you every day. I'm not saying crack open that Bible every day. It would be nice to do that, but I know we do not do that. That's why they give us the daily bread to help us with scriptures, to help us to grow, to help us do certain things. But until we can just get that down pat of how our faith, the word, have to be active instead of inactive, we're going to be content in the state that we're, woe is me, this is nothing's going to change. Speak your words to life. And if you do it positively, things will change and you will see things manifesting in your life. If you don't be honest with yourself, and baby, I still go back to a couple Sundays ago with the powerful message by Felder at New Faith Baptist Church International, when he was telling people to be honest about being, was it hard for you to come today? Nobody wanted to step up because you don't want people judging you like they couldn't afford to get to church. I'm so glad that the people did step up and let people know, no, this is where I'm at. And they walk out better than what they came in with.
Yeah.
So
That was a wonderful thing where the pastor had some people stand up and say, you don't know how you're going to pay your bill. You're not going to pay your mortgage. Stand up right now. And they stood up. And then he had the church to give them money. And I mean, people may have walked out of there with like $500, $1,000 because people was giving so much money to them. And you can see the tears in the eyes. And it's just a wonderful thing that happened there. This is a New Faith Baptist Church International in Matson, Illinois. The pastor is Reverend Trinell Felder. I don't know if it's D Felder or L Felder. L Felder is Trinell Felder. The last thing I want to say, because I want to make sure we get some music in before our guest comes in, is that the last thing is from James 1:22. It says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourself. Do what it says. James makes it clear that those who trust in the Lord don't merely become experts on listening to God's words. To believe is to act on what you hear. And this is what I'm going to say. A lot of us are listeners. Few of us want to follow it.
clean those ears out.
We get in church and we want to listen. Oh, Jesus, thank you. Yeah, Lord, you're right, Pastor. You're right. Yeah, hallelujah. Praise God. We want, girl, what you call it should have heard that. Man.
Not you.
Blah, blah. We all want to be good listeners. And James is saying, I'm going to say this again. He says, do not merely listen to the word. So deceive yourself, meaning don't just sit there and act like what you're hearing is connecting to your spirit, because when you walk out of the church, you haven't changed at all. He says, but do what it says. If you want the word to help you, you have to allow it to be alive and active. You got to let it correct you, let it read you. And you also have to do what it says. So if it's telling you to do something, if it told somebody to give some money to someone who stood up because they admitted that they needed some help and couldn't pay their bills, and it wasn't ashamed to say that, and you decided not to do what God said, then you're not following the word of God, the Spirit of God that's connecting with you. The word of God is not only the Bible, it's the word he speaks to you spiritually. If he tells you to move, then that's what you do. But a lot of times we want to hear the word. We want to listen to it. Hey, that was a great sermon. But we don't hear anything to the point where we do what it says. Some of those, girl, that wasn't for me. That right, when he said that was for her. That was no. Don't worry about who else it's for. You listen to it. You have to also be a follower as well.
Amen.
So we're going to play some music here. That's what we're talking about. Next week is going to be By Our Walk. We talked about by faith by word, and next week is going to be by our walk. How you walk will determine to others how God has blessed you.
Okay.
Because your walk is going to be predicated on a blessing. And what am I saying? Yeah, you might still be going through a storm, but if you're walking by faith and you're walking by the word, people are going to see this person's going to be blessed, or this person's a blessing. Because you know what it'll say to them? And I'm giving up everything already. She's been through a storm, been tested, and shown that she has faith and she believes in the word by her walk. So get ready for that next week. We're going to talk about that. Hey, we got some music. We are playing the music we're playing today, or we've been playing for a whole week, the whole month, I should say. It's been people on the list that's going to be at the SOAR Radio Awards. We're going to have Trayvon Perry is going to be playing the song All Right, All Right. And I guess that's Kavana Love. I'm saying that right, Kavina Love.
Where is it?
Down here.
Kavina
Love.
Kavin.
Kavina. And the song is Get Right. And we're going to have a couple commercials. And then we'll be back with our guests. You might still hear us. For those of you all who are on Facebook and YouTube, stay with us. We got some stories we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, what's her name? Beyonce. How they downing her. But you know what? She's still number one. Hey, listen up. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo. Listen up to these songs, music, and word, and we'll be right back. All right. So, my mouth sometimes moves faster than my head my brain can move.
Can we get that mean one out the way?
Yeah, get the mean one out the way. Is that the dumb one too?
The dumb, mean one. The never surrender high top.
Never surrender.
Gym shoe sneaker guy. I mean, Trump always have a Trump.
You got a Trump card, yeah.
Doing something. He say it's not political, but now he has launched his website to sell Snickers.
Snickers?
Snickers.
Snickers,
It's Snickers, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, they call the
I
gold.
know you didn't just say what I think you said.
I said Snickers.
Okay.
So
Kenny, we got to blank that one out.
y'all
'cause
miss me.
she's 1 week off and she already don't know how to control herself. Sneakers.
The go-getter shoe. I just don't understand how this man, he is defending. It's not $400. It's $399. Oh, wow. $399 for a gym shoe that people who, what you said earlier, people who support him really don't have a lot, but they will use that money to buy this gym shoe at his new website called GetTrumpSneakers.com.
Yeah, well, let me tell you this. One, you can put more taxes on 99 than you can put on 0. So that's why it's $399.95. And this is something that Trump is doing because he got this this lawsuit against him, with a judgment against him with $355 million that is paying for defrauding banks in New York. And so now he's right that same day he comes out with these sneakers. And you know he was ready. So he knew he was going to lose. He didn't know how much money he was going to lose, but I'm sure he was shocked by the amount, because I think a lot of people like $355,000, $1 million. And some people complained about that. It could have been $5 million, and it would have been justifiable, because he's cheated and defrauded people by lying about the value of his properties and the money he had, so he can get better loans. So of course you have more money, banks will be willing to loan you more because you have assets, finances that they feel secure. So he lied to get more money. And now he's selling these shoes, these golden shoes, which I think I heard somebody.
Golden ticket.
Yeah. And I think somebody was saying that he might get sued because of the red bottoms. There's another place that sells shoes like that, and there may be a lawsuit against him for that. But you know what? I'm going to go with the great professor, the well knowledgeable Forrest Gump, and say, stupid is what stupid does. If you're spending your money to give this man money who has to raise, he has to raise this much money, then that's his fault. But if you're going to get out of your pocket, and most of the people that support Trump are low income to median income people, if you're going to do this, constantly do this, because every time something goes wrong with him, he has some kind of a fundraiser. How much money can you give to this man thinking never give up? It's not that he's not giving up on you. He's not giving up on your money. That's all it is. He's not giving up on your money.
worth.
Yeah.
Now go to gettrumpsneakers.com. Don't run, but it will be there. Well, take that back because it's only going to be 1,000 sold. So if you missed that 1,000 cap, you out of luck. But according to him, this website went live today, and these shoes will be sold out probably.
55,000. I don't know how much time we've got for the Beyonce story because we got a guest coming up at 7:30, and I don't think we're going to be done with the music before that. Kenny, are we going to be done with the music before that? I'm just waiting for him to say something. Okay, how much minutes do we have left on the music? Okay, and then the other song is how long? And let the two songs play, and I'll just talk to him on the air here, and then when we get back on the air, then we'll just work back to it. Okay. Thank you, sir. For those of y'all that don't know who I'm talking, because you can't hear the voice on Facebook and YouTube, that is our Emmy Award producer, Kenneth Crawford, on there. We call him the Rockford Goat. This show has gotten so much better now that Kenny is running it. And I don't have to touch anything but open my mouth, which my best asset is opening my mouth on this radio show, which is crazy because most people who kind of know me know I don't really like talking. I don't really talk that much other than here. When it's time to preach, it's like a button turns on, but most of the times I'm kind of I don't know if it's extrovert, introvert.
These minutes to talk about the story.
We could have been using the minutes to talk about the story, but I was talking about myself. You should be used to that. You talk about yourself all the time. You talk about yourself all the time when we get on this show.
No,
so what do you want to talk about since you're taking up my
Beyonce.
time? Oh, wow, Beyonce. Rick, don't talk about yourself. Let's talk about Beyonce. What we got to talk about Beyonce about?
John Snyder compares Beyonce's new country music to a dog urinating. Leftists are trying to take over everything. It's funny they would say that, babe. Whereas, what is it? Hip hop, rap, soul. They come and get in, and we supposed to be like, oh, we just stuck in a category we can't expand. But he and many others have dogged her out for going into this genre because he said it's sacred for them. But what did Beyonce become now? Because she got a whole nother title on her.
Yeah, she's one of her singles is a #1 country song this week. It's at the top of the list, and then the second single that she has out, a second single, is at #9. So she's got out of her, I don't want to say album because that make me old. Out of her recordings for this new production, one song is at #1, one is at #9. So within the top 10 in country music, Beyonce is at the top. I guess she said you better put a ring on it, and she put a ring on it for sure. #1 ring on it.
Now, have you heard Texas Hold'em?
No. You talking about anything that Beyonce sung?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't. I mean, I've heard her sing, but I don't know.
Steven, you should have been on here.
Yeah, Steven should have been talking about that, but no, I haven't.
And then
I heard a little of it.
16
They were talking about it.
characters.
They were singing it, and it sounded like Beyonce singing country music. It
wasn't like what that man was saying.
I mean, no, I know. I mean, it's and he ain't that. I don't think he's that great of a singer either. I mean, there's nothing sacred about country music. That's almost trying to say it's for white people. I'm sorry to say it.
Well,
It's
that's what he's
sacred.
saying.
No, it's not. It's like country music. Because is it your music? I mean, you stole all of our music before and made it yours. So, and she's doing her own. So, hey, I thought that was a lot of times when somebody says something about it, I don't pay any attention to it because I don't do stupid. And it's like, okay, go back. Everybody's trying to cancel and talk about somebody most of the times anyway. But what can you say and what can you do? Kenny, that guy is on hold, isn't he? Okay, great. So we're gonna have him come in a few minutes, everybody. But I think it's just silly when people do that. But I mean, hey, obviously there are people purchasing the music now. It might be mostly Beyonce fans.
Yeah, but it carried her over, and it was she did it at the right time, coming off of the Renaissance tour.
Yeah.
And as they said, the Beehive swooped in, and I think they gave her 19 point something million on top just to get it out there, beating somebody who stayed on the charts for 20 weeks. So you come out of nowhere because nobody knew you was doing this, and you just slashed. And I'm like, go, girl, go.
Yeah.
They didn't even see you coming, and you didn't went up there to number one.
Yeah. So hey,
Like, hey.
do your thing. I was gonna say do your thing, B, but I don't want people to take that as a slight. But they do call her B, Queen B.
Put the queen
So
on
she's doing she's doing her thing, and she didn't went over to next she's gonna do a reggae song, and I know she's dabbled in gospel. She hasn't done a gospel album, I don't believe. But hey, I can't say anything negative about it. I'm not a Beyonce fan. I don't necessarily, and I'm gonna get in some trouble. I don't necessarily think that she's that great of a singer. She is a total package entertainer. Great songs.
and a savvy businesswoman.
Smart and everything like that. And that's good, and that's what you want. I mean, you have to have all of those, angles. But hey, I won't falter. But we got to get on the air. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
All right. We're about to get on the air in a second here. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. Hey, we've got a guest coming on today. I'm going to have my baby stop wrinkling those papers. But I'm going to ask our guest first to say his name so we don't mess it up, and then we're going to introduce him. So say your name for us.
It's Pamone Rami.
Pamone Rami. I got the Rami right. I don't know if I got the Pamone. Pamone Rami.
Hey, I've been messing that up. Okay.
Man, well,
Pamone.
you've been messing up my name for a long time. We've been married for 30 years.
Well, all right now.
So, I mean, once I get our guests in there, once you get on here, your family, and we have been married for 30-some years, so we talk crazy. We are real.
Well, my wife and I have you beat a little bit. We've been married 48 years.
Okay,
Yes.
well, no, a little bit, huh?
And we've been business partners for 55.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Speaking of got us beat, yeah, you don't know who we got on here, but this is like a who's who that we got on this thing today. I'm going to let my baby read it off, but we don't have enough time to read off everything that he did. I can show you all the papers that we have that we could have talked about him, but this is one powerful brother.
His deck is loaded.
Yeah, his
It
deck
really
is loaded.
It's
He's got the full Monty.
Okay. Well, we are so honored to have our special guest tonight. Author, professor, international film producer, director, lecturer, historian, consultant. This is none other than Pamone. Is it Rami or Rami?
Rami.
That's Rami. You got it right.
Pamone Rami.
Rami.
You got it right, yeah.
And we met him and his beautiful wife at the Definition Theater, sitting right behind us that day. I was teasing your wife about all that gorgeous hair, and she was telling me how they met and everything. And I'm like, they are just so cute. Then we seen you guys at Court Theater that night at Antigone. Is that a band?
Antigone.
Antigone, but they was on the other side, couldn't get to you. So he is active in everything that he does, and I know casting one of the first African American casting directors here. That so many movies under his belt that I can't wait for us to dive into it.
I can't wait for us to dive into it either.
Okay, welcome to Let's Stay Together Talk, and we're gonna talk about observation from the front line. Welcome.
Thank you all for having me and for, doing this show and giving people a voice. It's extremely important that our community have a way to converse about the good that we do and also have people that they can tune in and talk to, because it's in talking that we get things accomplished.
Yeah, that's so. Tell us about that book of yours that you have out there right now that's circulating.
Yes, the name of the book is When Blackness Was Golden, Observations from the Front Line. And it's a retrospective of Chicago from the 1950s until the 1990s, when I was involved in the development of black theater here, the Black Student Movement in 1968, where we organized students and had 35,000 young people to walk out and changed a lot of what was happening within the Board of Education. So it covers the films, as you all talked about earlier. I worked on the first black soap opera to ever be produced. It was at PBS called Bird of the Iron Feather. It was written by Richard Durham, who also wrote the Muhammad Ali story. It was directed by Okoro Harold Johnson. It starred at ETA, and the music was by Oscar Brown Jr. So in my in my late teens, I had the opportunity to work on that show.
How long did the show last?
We actually, through the 70s, we actually ended up doing 13 episodes. We were supposed to do 26, but PBS, we had some issues with money. And then the other thing that happened is that when they started doing the show, there were no black directors in town that had done TV, if you can believe that, but it wasn't. And so for us to be able to get someone from Chicago to direct, Okoro had to go to Boston to get a certificate for 6 weeks so that he could come back and direct the show. So Okoro Harold Johnson and Roy Inman were the directors of that project. The majority of the copies have been destroyed. I think the only 3 that people have been able to find and identify.
Yeah, I listened and watched one of them today. I think it was called The Last
Payment.
The Last Payment. The Last Payment. I was looking at that a little bit before the show was started, and I was like in awe. I'm like, wow! In it was 73, right? It was 73.
That was 70.
It's 1970.
Yeah.
A black soap opera. I mean, heck, they didn't want black people on the television that much in the 70s, and then you got this black soap opera that came there. By doing that, how did it feel, being a producer? And did you have, a part of it, and did you have the leeway to do things that you wanted to do, or did they kind of push back on certain things that you were able to do?
Black people have been fighting since we were snatched from Africa and got off the ships. Mm-hmm. So we have always had to fight about our existence and the control of the values and imagery that affects our lives. And that was no different. I mean, keep in mind that in less than 20 years before we did that project, Emmett Till had been killed. They were still lynching people in the South. There were times when black people couldn't look white people in the eye. When we were driving on the freeway, according to Michelle Alexander, we were driving on the freeway. You couldn't pass a white person in a car, no matter how slow they were going or how fast, and or you would get stopped and you would get arrested.
Wait a minute. I got to stop you.
Isn't that
I've never heard that before. You couldn't pass a white person in a car because you would get stopped and arrested because you passed them. Oh my God.
That's right.
Wow.
Well, then let's get deeper. There were laughing barrels in San Francisco, in St. Louis. And if a black person was walking down the street and they found something funny, they had to put their heads down in those barrels so that white people wouldn't think that they were laughing at them. Black people couldn't eat vanilla ice cream except for the 4th of July.
What was so special about the vanilla ice cream?
Because it was white.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, and so in essence, what happened? You can trace the death of Malcolm and the evolution of the Black Arts Movement with impacting not only what we did, but how we did it, and the fact that we were producing for us. Because prior to that, everybody was rehashing white plays or trying to copy white cinema. Malcolm represented, as Ozzie Davis so eloquently said, our shining black prince. And what it did was gave black people, and black males specifically, the opportunity to reassociate with their manhood and stand up for the first time since slavery. And so we were able to, we had to fight through it because originally when we started the soap opera, they had hired 2 white directors and they were going to use students from Northeastern to write, white students from Northeastern to write the scripts. And so C.T. Vivian and some other folks organized a protest. When they organized the protest, they took the Blackstone Rangers with them. That was the street gang.
Yeah.
For those of you, that listeners don't know, they took them with them, and they agreed to let these black directors come in and for writers to be hired to develop the show. So we had to fight every step along the way. So we had to fight for the right to be there. We had to train the actors because there were no acting schools at that point. We had to learn the business. We had to learn how to market the business. And not only did we have to create an audience, but we had to convince black people that it was okay to see themselves.
I like
Because
that.
we are still in a position where a lot of us would rather be accepted than successful.
Oh,
that is
true.
powerful.
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
I
that's true.
I can stay on that for the whole show. I do want to go to something else because you've done some great things, and I got to put on my glasses too now.
Quick
So
question.
you can go to your quick question. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, what area became the epic center of black and creativity in Chicago in the 40s?
You asking me that? Oh, you?
I'm asking you.
because it's part
What
of my writing.
area?
So, Chicago was originally founded by Jean-Baptiste Pointe-du-Sable. Of course, everybody knows that now because Lakeshore Drive is named after him. But his residence and his businesses were where the Tribune Tower is, at Wacker and Michigan.
Okay.
So just put that in perspective. That was a brother's land, and that's where he had multiple businesses, his trading post, his mill, his dairy farm, so forth and so on. And he was also the first art collector in this area as well, because he developed a relationship with people, so he would buy French art. We go from there to an area which was between Archer Avenue 26, between State Street and Federal on Clark. That was the beginning of what ultimately would become what is now known as Bronzeville. But it was an area where black people lived. They had brothels. A lot of the immigrants that were coming to Chicago, that's where they lived. However, it was the place also where there was the second Chicago fire that most people have never heard of. Most of us have heard of the one with Miss O'Leary and them kicking over the cow, supposedly, and the fire burned north. Well, the second fire, which impacted the black community, was 2 years later. And it burned up that entire area where we lived, which then forced us to begin to move south. All right. When I refer to the area where blackness was golden and the epicenter of culture, I'm talking about specifically between 31st Street and 47th, between Federal and the Lake. Now, why do I call it that? The first black hospital, Providence. First black nursing home. I mean nursing school. First black ballpark, 39th Street and Federal, where the Dan Ryan is.
Oh, wow.
First black museum, the DuSable on Michigan Avenue. The first black arts center, which is now celebrating 83 years, the Southside Community Arts Center. Theodore Ward, who was one of the founders of the Negro Federalist Theater with Langston Hughes and Richard Wright, opened his theater, which was originally called the Joe Louis Theater, on 35th Street between Michigan and Indiana. The Afro Arts Theater was on 39th Street and Drexel. That was the home that spewed out Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shaka Khan, the Darlene Blackburn dances, the Spencer Jackson family. All of that stuff was happening in there. the YWCA at Wabash and 38th Street, the first YWCA that would allow black people to live there. It's also the place where Carter G. Woodson started his organization and formed, ultimately, Negro History Month. And I can keep going on. The Hall Branch Library, 48th in Michigan. First library that black people could go to. The first black librarian, Vivian Harsh. And that's why they had the Vivian Harsh collection in the Woodson on Halsted. And we're not even talking about the Savoy,
Savoy, yeah.
the Lisa, and all of those nightclubs that were down there as well. So it was at the epicenter of creativity. It's where our foundations lie. And today, we still have more black institutions than any other place in this country, in Chicago.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, a lot of those places were in the situation where the Dan Ryan is today?
To the slightly to the east of the Dan Ryan.
Okay.
The Dan Ryan had a number of houses. There was a community there,
Yeah.
and they tore all of that out. There's a church that's located on 37th Street, that's west of the Dan Ryan. If you ever drive between 35th Street and 39th, there's a church
Yeah,
that's to the west.
Is that progressive?
I think it is Progressive.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of it, Progressive. That was originally on the east side of the Dan Ryan. And they picked it up on stilts and rolled it across and placed it where it is now.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Dates, man? Is that dates?
That's what dates used. That's where he
Oh.
used to be. I don't think he's there anymore. That was where what was his name? Was
The
that Clay
Rich-
Evans? Clay Evans used to be there as well.
Who's Clay there? Yeah, you might have been.
Yeah. Hey, man, you got so much history, and one of the things I'm going to ask you about that is not even on here. But let me just tell you something about this person. The first African American film caster director in Chicago. He was a part of the Blues Brothers, Mahogany, Cooley High, Uptown Saturday Night, of Boys to Men with Angela Bassett and Robert Townsend. 93 Days with Danny Glover. It's a Nigerian starting Danny Glover. But this is one movie that I want to talk to you about that was controversial in its day that you was a part of. The Spook That Sat by the Door.
Yes.
I still remember that movie so much. You were involved in that. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in that and the controversy with the movie.
Well, I had a theater company that I started when I was about 16. And I was traveling around to a variety of different schools doing performances and social centers or any place where we could do a show. So I had become pretty well known as an actor as well as a director. So I get a call from Sam Greenlee, who's the author of Spook That Sat by the Door. And he says, we're getting ready to do the movie. And he had written a part for me and that he wanted me to do. And so I got the script, agreed to do it. And then he said, but I'd also like for you to help me to get the casting done for the film. And so I also helped him to get the casting. We shot here, what you call guerrilla style, because we couldn't get permits, so we sort of snuck shots in here. Then we shot in Gary, where Mayor Hatchett gave us access to 2 city blocks to basically burn down and have the riots in. And then we shot in Los Angeles as well. But The Spook That Sat by the Door is the story of the first African-American member of the CIA. And he's recruited because one of the senators is about to lose his seat and realizes that his biggest issue is among black people. So he figures that if they hire a black person, they can sit them by the door, and if anybody that comes into the CIA would know that they're integrated, and that would help him improve his stock. However, the guy comes in, he flies under the radar, he gets the training, comes back to Chicago, organizes the city, the gangs into a revolutionary army, and they, in essence, moved to take over the control of black people's lives. That's in essence what the movie is about. Now, what's interesting is when Sam and Ivan Dixon directed it. For those of you that don't know, Ivan was on Hogan's Heroes. He was in Car Wash. He did an incredible amount of work. But when they went to pitch it in Hollywood, people thought that it was a ghost story because it was called The Spook Who Sat by the Door. So they gave him the finishing money, thinking that they would go see Casper, I guess, in blackface.
Yeah.
But when they saw it, they said, "Oh my God, what have we done?" And so we opened here in Chicago at the Met Theater, and a little bit after that run, like a few weeks, all of the copies were absconded by the FBI, and we were shut down because they basically said it was creating revolutionary ideas in people. But what I want, and I do think the people should see the movie, because ultimately what the movie is truly about is going away, getting your training, whatever the training might be, and coming back to the black community and giving back. That's in essence what that movie is about. And most of us need to understand that and be committed to those values.
Well, can we still watch this movie, or it's just been everything been erased?
Oh no!
Still
It's
fine.
so what happened some years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, someone was cleaning out a file at Universal Studios, and they came across a film that was mislabeled. It ended up being the original Prince Spook Who Sat by the Door. So Tim Reed and Daphne Maxwell Reed got a copy of it, and they remastered it. So this was about, like I said, about 10 years ago. And so you can still go to Amazon and get copies. You can look at it on YouTube because there are copies available there.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now.
And this is the 50th anniversary. And just two things that I need to add, because Sam would be pissed off if I didn't say it. You know how when you open the movie, you get a couple of things in the beginning, and one of those is the FBI warning
Right.
about copying and so forth. Yeah. The FBI shut us down. Now it's the FBI warning about copying on the video. It's just bizarre.
Ironic. Yeah.
It's ironic, yeah. And then we were also selected as one of the most influential films, and it was placed into the Library of Congress as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why, and I know I'm wrong with this, and I know you're going to tell me I'm wrong. I don't know why I thought I remember one time, and I'm wrong. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm wrong. I thought maybe one time I saw a version of this, and was Sidney Poitier a part of there?
No,
That's what I was
no,
wondering.
he wasn't.
Okay, because I'm looking at the thing now, and I'm like, that wasn't him in this movie. I mean, I remember seeing this movie when I was younger. And that's why when I'm looking at it now, I'm like, yeah, I remember this.
You're probably thinking about Brother John,
okay.
because Sidney did a revolutionary movie, a couple of them actually.
Yeah.
We wore dark glasses all the time. It had the same kind of background, but totally different movies.
My baby wants to send me a thing. I have another question. What is your question, baby?
Okay. My question for Mr. Pamon is, talk to us about the debunking myth of blaxploitation movies. Since we're
Yes.
talking about movies, what was the debunking of that?
In 1970, there were a couple of movies that came out. So we go from a period of Sidney Poitier and the white movies, and I'm calling them white movies because he was a black cast member within those movies. We go from that to the breakout film, which was Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song by Melvin Van Peebles. It was a movie, and it was the first time that that the antagonist was black. He was an anti-hero. He was fighting a man, and all of that. Okay. Then you have Shaft, right? You have Shaft. They're calling all of these films within that era black exploitation.
Right.
However, exploitation to me means that someone has done something to you that you didn't want them to do. Secondly, they would have made all the money. They would have been the creative forces behind it. And it's a lot of those types of films. However, Spook to Step by the Door could not be in that classification. It was funded by black people. It was directed by black folks. It was written by black people for black audiences. The Learning Tree by Gordon Parks. Thomasine and Bushrod, which was by Max Julian and Vanetta McGee. Those movies were black people producing. And my only issue with the whole notion of black exploitation, because there are some black exploitation films. I worked on one. It's called Monkey Hustle. When they had me to do Monkey Hustle, they said that it was going to be James Earl Jones and Lou Gossett, that they were coming to town to do this film. I said, great. Love to work with them. Like to do it. When they got to town, they had Rudy Ray Moore and Yaphet Kotto. And to show you a slight thing of exploitation, there was a block party at the end of that movie. And they told people in the community that they were going to have this block party and it was going to be filmed. And it's the big end to the project. They brought lettuce. And they told the people in the community to act like you have food.
Oh.
Small example.
Wow.
Then, when they would come into the black community, they wouldn't pay the extras on the south side the same thing they paid the extras on the north side. If I came to you and I said, I'd like to rent your house for $500 a day, and you would say, okay, great, you can have it for a week. But then if I don't tell you that, well, we're going to tap into your electricity. So you're going to have maybe a $300 light bill. We're going to utilize your telephone. So your telephone bills are going to go up. They would not, or when we went up to businesses on the white part of town, they would tell them, you let us use your house, we'll remodel it, the rooms that we use in whatever fashion you want. But they would not say that to us. And so that's what I meant by debunking it. And there's so many movies that were done during that period that should not be classified as exploitation. I just think we need a better way to define it.
Didn't they do that with Cooley High as well? Didn't pay the extras or feed them or something?
No, Cooley High, we paid everybody. And again, Cooley High was written by Eric Monte.
Okay.
It was directed by Michael Schultz, black director.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be classified as blaxploitation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, you got so many things on here. I'm looking at this one thing. It says books available. We could probably spend a week talking about all the things that you've got on here and couldn't reach most of the information. But I was looking at this and it says the 1986 Black Student Movement. Talk to me a little bit about that and here in Chicago, the movement.
Okay, let me go back a few years. 1963, there was a boycott of the city schools. And the reason that it was boycotted is because the black schools, which were very limited in terms of numbers, were totally overcrowded. And you couldn't teach black history. This is all kind of stuff that was happening bad in CPS. So community organizations got together to protest it. And one of the big things that they were protesting was what was called the Willis Wagons. Benjamin Willis was the head of the Board of Education at that time. They took mobile home, like mobile trailers, and they put them in the parking lots of black schools. Rather than expand the school or build another school, they put these trailers out. Which meant that in Chicago in the wintertime, you had to walk outside, run into the building to use the bathroom, or to eat, or whatever the case might be. So that started the first major protest in terms of schools. But it was not successful. And when I say not successful, they didn't get the things that they were looking for. 1967, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. At Inglewood High School, there was a teacher named Owen Lawson. Owen had started teaching black history and he was fired. So the students there organized a walkout. It was 25 students. They walked out and to protest him being fired. Well, he didn't get his job back either, but it gave us the fuel for all the other schools to begin to take up the same type of activities. 1968, there was the Black Power Conference in Philadelphia. It was organized, and she wasn't my wife then, but my wife now and I, we co-chaired the student workshop at the National Black Power Conference in '68. And part of that came out of manifesto about what we wanted in the schools, what our demands were, and we came back and we organized all of these students and all of these student groups around the city, and we shut them down. And we spoke at the Board of Education, and we did a mock funeral down at Daly Plaza, where we built a coffin and black folks dressed up in black KKK outfits, and we went down and shut it down. And part of the reason for that was because no black businesses, there were no black vendors in CPS at all. Very few teachers, no administrators, parents couldn't be involved. And those are the things that we were fighting against. So that's what happened with that. But out of that, a couple of things came. Number one, because we told the white reporters that would come around to do stories that we wouldn't talk to them. So they began to hire black reporters. Like if you look at '68, you'll see Lou Palmer getting jobs. You'll see Warner Saunders getting hired. You'll see Vernon Jarrett getting hired. A lot of that came out of the fact that we said, if our stories are going to be told, we're going to have to tell them in some way.
And what's significant about this also is that right around that time, you were still dealing with the assassination of King.
Yes, we were, and Malcolm. So Malcolm came first, and then King was killed after that. And you also a little bit after that had the death of Fred Hampton and Mark Clark. But some other things happened. So the African American Patrolmen's League organized. The Association of Black Professionals, almost in every area, organized. The National Black Nursing Association, the Physicians Association, the Social Workers Association, the Psychiatrists Association. All of these folks came together with the interest of helping to improve the quality of our lives, which is why I called it Blackness is Golden, because it was an area in which we were more interested in the upliftment of our people than we were as an individual.
Yeah, and the important thing about it is that you could see, because a lot of times, historians, you heard about it, after Martin Luther King was assassinated, black people just disbanded and wasn't really, organized. But in an essence, there was a organization, or people were organizing to continue on with, the fight for black rights, correct?
That is correct. But the issue, part of the issue, and this is something that we have allowed to be done to us, is that we've been put in a situation where we have been taught that there's only one. And so when we talk about the civil rights movement, we talk about King. But do we talk about the UNIA? Do we talk about the NAACP, the Urban League, all these other organizations? So when you look at that front line of Martin Luther King walking anywhere, in any march, that whole front line was people that were really out doing the work. They were the ones that were out organizing their churches and community organizations. They were the ones that, after King gave the speech and left, that were on the ground, that were continuing. And so it's happened in everything. We get one movie star, you get one golf star. And the reality is, and this is one of my personal quotes from my book, the only thing that keeps us from winning is not being allowed to compete.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only way we don't take over in every arena.
I'm not gonna keep you long. I know you have me because one other question, because there's so much I could talk to him about. We got to have you come back, because I need to talk about one time, and I don't want to get into it right now because it'll take too long. But I heard there was a time in Chicago where blacks couldn't go past 63rd Street.
That's correct.
And that's something interesting. But I want to know from you, your favorite person that you've worked with.
Wow. Okay. I got to give you two.
Okay.
Gladys Knight. I directed a play called Mallow Lily that starred Gladys Knight. To sit in her house at the piano, just me and her, rehearsing, I will never beat that. I mean, that was just incredible. The other person that I should say Stevie, but instead I'm going to say Danny Glover. Danny is one of the most engaging I mean, he's like Harry Belafonte or Paul Robeson. You know, every time you're sitting talking to Danny, he'll say, "Well, yeah, you know, when I was with Chavez, or when I was with Haiti, not Haiti, but Cuba, Castro,
Castro,
or when I was with Castro, you know, we blah 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 blah." And so to sit with him for 2 weeks while we were in Nigeria was just incredible.
Yeah.
But then I sat with Sydney on the bus when we were shooting Uptown Saturday Night here in Chicago. So I spent the day with him. So, you know, spent a lot of them.
And I mean, I remember those movies. Uptown's, and I don't want to be wrong again because I'm sure my age, but I was younger. Was Richard Pryor in that one? Or
Yes.
Was it, yeah, that's kind of
Everybody was in it. Richard
Yeah.
Pryor,
Harry
Everybody.
Belafonte was in that, wasn't
yeah,
he?
Harry,
Yeah.
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 They were all in it. You know what? Let me. I know we have to go, but let me mention one thing about what you just said about
Okay.
63rd.
Okay.
Most people have seen Raising the Sun, right? The play
Yeah.
or the movie.
Well, the movie, yeah.
They were trying to move to Woodlawn in real life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. They were trying to move to between 61st and 63rd, between King Drive and Cottage,
Wow.
Yeah.
and we couldn't go there.
I don't know if this is Black history all over again in the Chicagoland area, but when I heard that story once before, I'm like, I mean, they were telling Black people don't get caught, past 63rd Street at night, or you ain't gonna live. I'm like, wait a minute, 63rd?
Yeah.
See, we thinking of 63rd now.
Right, but I'm like, then
Oh,
it's
no.
like you couldn't even go past 63rd Street because that was considered, the white side or almost like a suburb to them. And that just blew me
Al
away when I heard
Capone,
that.
Al Capone lived on 72nd in St. Lawrence.
Oh,
Just just a bit of trivia, but yeah. So no, it was. You know what? I think what young people have to understand is that without an understanding of history,
yeah,
you will not know the direction in which you need to go and what you need to stop happening, because there's so much that we have to stand up for.
we got to have you back, man. We definitely got to. I'm gonna have to have you come back next month or something soon because there's so much. I mean, I don't believe in celebrating Black History in February. It's 24/7 year round. Every day we celebrate it. I mean, but the information that you have that you share, and I know you teach this and stuff as well. People need to know about it. That's why I'm glad we had the Black Panthers and we've got you here. And I'm just thankful the guy that we bumped into each other because I looked at him. You gave me that card. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna call. And he probably said, nah, he ain't gonna. But I said, I'm gonna keep my word. And I looked at it. And I looked at him. I'm like, oh my God, this brother has got a plethora of him. I mean, we could build a whole show around him. So I'm gonna have to have one time just a panel guest where it's just gonna be me and us talking to you because there's so much information they need to know about that Black Americans need to know about our history. Because I think that, like you said, we don't want to know about our history. You always want to think it's negative. Yeah, it was difficult, but you need to know where you came from. That's where your strength came from. And so I think.
And if we
people
do it
forget
next
that.
month, I will also focus on a lot of the Black women in the city and the major contributions that they made.
Oh, well, you got
Because
you
it's a
got
lot.
Brenda saying I got to do it next month right now when you said that. So
Right? Oh yeah, no, it's an incredible amount.
yeah, baby, got anything you want to say before? We
I
go?
just want to run into him and his beautiful wife again in the theater. I just want to know what's your next play, just to hang out with them because I'm like, wow.
So this would be my 60th year of directing.
Oh wow.
If I and I've been considering doing a play this year, but every time I get ready to do a play, then another movie comes up, and you can't beat doing a film in theater.
Yeah, I
Because
hear
if I
you.
do a movie, I can then spend 5 years working on a play, So,
Right?
but we're strong supporters of Definition, of Congo, Square, of ETA, of Jackie's Theater,
Yeah,
because they need to be sustained. And what
yeah,
most what most cultures understand is that for us to be healthy, our mind, body, and spirit has to be functional. That
yeah.
comes from
Yeah.
culture, it comes from religion, or at least spirituality, and it comes from physically being in shape. So all those things are what cultural institutions provides. We should support them in the same way that we tithe churches.
Right. I mean, and black people, please come out and support your black theaters. You got so many people in theaters as African American, but people don't come out to support them. And I haven't seen ETA do anything in a minute, so I'm hoping that they're going to get back and start working on having productions there, theatrical productions here in Chicagoland as well. I could talk to you all day, man, but I'm going to let you go. We got to continue the show. Thank you so much for being on here with us and giving us so much history about Chicago and the world and how
Yeah.
black people has contributed to that. And we appreciate you being on the show.
Well, thank you all for having me, and just continue doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thanks.
Take
Thank
care. Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Oh my goodness. I thank God so much for the people that we get a chance to meet, and it's just a blessing. We got to go to some music right now, and then we're going to continue on with our show. And I think for this time we're going to be playing the songs of a Brianna Edwards, and it's Almighty. And then it says J.V. McCoy and You Shall Live. I heard these two. Both of these songs are great. Hear all the songs, and they're great. Listen up to this. We're going to have the commercial for Soar Radio. Brendan's going to be talking, and then we'll be right back. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Hey, for those of you on Facebook and YouTube, stay with us. We've got some more information we're going to talk about. Listen up to this music commercial, and we'll be right back. All right. Hey, that was great. This brother? I mean, and you probably didn't hear the name of the book as much. It's right here. Ooh, excuse me. When Blackness Was Golden. You definitely want to get it. This brother has done so many things. Worked with so many people. He's an educator. I mean, director. Theater. I mean, it's just a blessing to for God to allow certain people to come on our show because I just search for people and I just, ask God to move me in the direction of finding people. And that's all we've been finding lately is just people on the show. We had Clarice Scott. She was talking on the show. Powerful information. We was talking about, abortions and things like that. And we're trying to get people educated. We've had so many people coming in Black History Month with the Black Panthers. Sheldon has came on and gave us a plethora of information. He's coming back again with some kids so we can talk about certain things. This is what Black history is all about. Not necessarily someone giving us 28 days, but it's for us to take at least 28 minutes to hear about people that you may never hear from before to explain their position in Black history that we don't hear about, and it's amazing that we've been able to get that opportunity here on the show to share it with you. Baby, what you get?
I'm just loving the fact that you never know whose company you're keeping, that you're sitting among wise men and women. And like I said, met him and his beautiful wife at Definition Theater. So they were sitting behind us, and I think right before it started or something, I turned around and complimented his wife on her long, luscious, beautiful hair. And she was telling me about her husband. She was asking me how long have I been married. I shared with her, and she told me how long they've been married. And when he came back, she introduced him. She said he has so much knowledge if you guys ever wanted to talk to him. And when I found out this is the name, I didn't catch it that night. But when Rick gave me the information to look up on him, and I was like, wait a minute, wow, we was just talking to them. But you just never know. And I love that he's been around forever doing all this great stuff.
All right. So
Yeah, I had to put that out there.
I
I
know
was
because you
mesmerized.
you wouldn't let me talk about myself before Beyonce, but you had to put out what you got to say.
But that
But
was
okay.
about him.
I know, but it's what you wanted to say about him.
Yeah.
But can you say what you want to say about those stories we got over there now?
Oh, I thought we was gonna do something on Soul Radio again here.
Oh, you can. I mean, you can do it on here. You don't have any more stories?
I do, but you said something.
We can
about
do
Soul
that.
Radio.
We can do the Soar Radio when we get back on the online. I don't know if y'all know it or not, but we crazy. We don't talk just like a regular radio show. We're not just a regular gospel show or any kind of show. We have two married people going on 30 years, and we talk to each other like we're two married people on the show.
Going on 30 years.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's just that's how it is, and that's how you keep it spicy. You
That's the
don't
spice.
listen to your husband, and your husband tell you don't listen to him. You just keep saying things like that, and she's gonna ruffle those papers until she stops ruffling them, and I gotta keep on telling her stop ruffling those papers, and she ain't gonna never listen.
Now, this story is dear to my heart, though, because I don't like when nobody mess with anyone disabled.
Okay.
But teen with Down syndrome not selected for cheerleading team learns their routine by just watching. Now, they had their reasons for not selecting her because she is a handful to deal with. But everyone has a special gift, and she has a special gift. I mean, if they ever need a backup, she's the girl to call to get in there and get it done. A lot of people was upset that they didn't select Emmy Talent for being one of the cheerleaders, but she was okay with it. As long as she could cheer on the side when they go to a game and she could cheer, it doesn't even matter. But I mean, it's a feel good story too, Rick. But then it's like, wow, we still doing that? That if they have a disability, it's too much, a
Wait a
liability.
minute. I mean, we still in a world where black people are still not getting jobs and they can't get a lot of them. I mean, this is just the world that we live in. I think that the feel good part of it is that how she overcame those things and still be able to show that she could to not only do it well and learn how to do it without anyone coaching or teaching her how. She just saw it
photogenic memory.
and was able to pick it up and do the dance. And so let me tell you something. You can be a cheerleader or you can be a leader that people cheer about.
And she's a leader that 3 million people are cheering about, and with 87,000 likes. Now, if that school was smart and wanted to stay on the map, let her come out and do something.
Yeah, because she's like the Taylor Swift right now. Or should I say the Beyonce?
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble with my black folks. You know.
But yeah, that story was really interesting, though. Kudos to you, Emmy. Go, girl, go.
Yeah, where was Emmy? Where was this at? Because I don't know if you said where it was at. Did you?
I didn't see that. Where was that?
Where was it located at?
Yeah, I did not see that. But hey, I'm sure they should have had it out there, but I didn't see it typed out over here. Another story that's beautiful is Reverend Ann Barton, 103 years old.
103.
Is gonna do some preaching this Sunday coming up on the 25th. This is a phenomenal lady that was born in 1920 in Dooley County, the oldest of 11 children. Always grew up in a Kojic church and then got involved with AMC when she got older. Left from there and moved to Chicago to do some work. 103 will be preaching at New Beginnings Full Gospel Church at 1448 Lexington Avenue, and that's in Fort Heights, Illinois. I'm just so proud of this woman. And then when you see her, Rick, she don't look like 103. I'm like, oh, is that a saying that we have?
Yeah, I know. I pulled up that story. I was trying to pull it up again, but when I saw that, I'm like, wow, 103. I mean, the thing about it is that, one, thank God you're alive. Thank God you got all your senses. But she's preaching now.
Preaching.
She teaching the word. And, it's a blessing for someone to still be able to do that. I pray that I'm 103 and can continue to go on and preach the word or be on the radio show. Maybe it'll be called Soar Electric by that time. And Kenny will have, Kenny Jr. be doing the producing. Kenny Jr. And then, and who knows who's going to be owning Soar Radio at that time. It might be one of, Justin's daughters. All three of them together, so,
that's true.
but it's a blessing when you hear someone is able to continue to go on and be able to have the common sense to know to thank the Lord and give praises to him through song and through preaching.
And two things with her that tickled me. She said, I don't preach standing up now. I preach sitting down because I am 103
Hey,
years
that's okay,
old.
yeah.
But I still walk in my heels. I don't wear my stilettos. I was like, oh my God. She don't wear her stilettos anymore, but she will have on her heel. It might be 2 inches, but she got on her heel.
Ain't that something? I can't get you to wear heels, but 103, she wearing her heels. I gotta wear flats, Rick. I'm not wearing no heels. I'm getting flats, Rick. And this lady, I'm doing it in my 103 heels. Hey, we've got to get it going, but about a few seconds to go back on the radio show, so stand with us. All right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. Welcome back, Soar Radio. Thank you for staying with us on YouTube and Facebook. Hope you all enjoyed that interview with, was it Rami?
Pomone,
right? Pomone Rami. And excellent interview. We enjoyed it. His book is called When Blackness Was Golden, Observations from the Front Line. You want to get that book here. I'm just going to show it to people on Facebook and YouTube. Gentleman has a lot of education, a lot of information, worked with a lot of people, and we were blessed to have him on our show. Babe, what we're going to talk about I guess we've got, what's the next subject we talking about?
WDIGN.
Yeah, I got to figure out, what did I do with my notes on that? Did I even print them out? What are we talking about with that?
Am I good enough?
Yeah, I don't know if I know you got some notes on there. But in marriage, a lot of times I think about marriage and people being married as we have all this paper shuffling around, is that people so many times are talking about divorce and having trouble in their marriage. And, you hear sometimes from the person who doesn't want to be with you. And I know I was listening to something. I think it was a girl from the North Country where the husband was saying the wife didn't want to be with him anymore. And to have someone say that to you can be devastating. So we're talking to people who have went through a devastating situation in their lives where someone has told them that they don't want to be with them anymore, or has showed them through their actions of having an affair in their relationship, or how they physically have treated them, and showed in mentally and physically ways that you're not good enough anymore. And it can be, really devastating, babe, when someone says that to you, because, you first say to yourself, who are you to say my worth? I did a couple of series on self-worth. I think a 4-part series that the last time I knew it was out there in Chicago Defender. But you can find it out there in, internet land about self-worth. And I thank God for that. But having someone say something to you like that in a marriage can be very destructive. And it's very hard to move on when one person seems to be giving up while you're trying your best to keep a relationship going. So I want to talk a little bit about being good enough, and basically where you should start on understanding who is the person providing your goodness or how good you are, and not where you get it from. But I know Brenda's got a couple of things she's going to add there, so I'm going to let you bring that in there, and let's talk about it.
Some of the things that reason people feel and declare that they're not good enough, I'm going to talk about some of them, and the first one will be you compare yourself against others. Unfortunately, in a marriage, it could be either the male telling the female that she's not good enough, and I said my ex used to do this and she did that. Well, you should be back with your ex. Or the female saying, well, he used to always provide for me and do this and that. That's the wrong thing to do. If you have significant other or spouse that's degrading you to me when you say that you're always comparing them to the person that's not in your life right now. And it's the reason why they're not in your life, but you're comparing them. So I think that's really detrimental, that that person have to constantly hear that from an individual.
Yeah, and you know, I want to be able to speak to someone that's going through that right now, and I don't really have it. You know, I had some things I wrote down, but I could talk about this on a personal basis too, because I've been in a relationship where someone didn't want to be with me, and how painful it feels. But I think what we need to do is rediscover, as I said before, self-worth. This girl's gonna drive me nuts with this paper. It's
We're gonna get this
you
thing
know,
on this computer.
that's what I'm hoping you're gonna do that. And it's hard to see worth when you've placed your worth in something that doesn't value your worth. And it's hard because if you're a man and you've put all of your love and your value of what you're worth into a woman, and that woman, you know, disrespects you or dishonors you or don't want to be with you, or you know, is talking to other people and it's embarrassing to you, it makes you feel, you know, demasculated. Or a woman where a man is, you know, calling her out of a name, or treating her wrong, or, you know, walking off on her and you know, talking to somebody else, and you're married, it can be very embarrassing, and it can hurt, because now you're looking at this person that you put all of your love into, which is you should in a marriage, but then that person didn't reciprocate, and it hurts. Now, here can some people saying, well, Reverend, you said we should give all of our love and not look for anything in back. Yes, you should. But that I never said that the other person shouldn't do the same thing. What I'm saying, if you both give all and not look for anything, then you don't have to worry about reciprocation, because you know that person is going to do the same thing that you're giving without looking for it to give it. But you still want that love. And so when you reject it, or when somebody else brings up someone else, it can be very painful for you, and you can feel as though you are worthless. But what I'm saying is that your worth is in the hand of God. It's not in the hand of your spouse. I don't care if you're in love with them till the end of the earth. We was watching a show yesterday on Dateline, and the woman said that was the love of her life, and she wound up killing him. And I'm like, wow, that's the love of your life. I don't want to be loved that much.
Let's just say she said, oh, I was trying to commit suicide, but he drank the juice. He drank it first.
Okay, but basically what she said is that she's the love of her life, and then she killed him. But it's the issue is when we put all of our love into each other before we get the value of our love from God, then it can be very painful when someone walks away, other than you just saying, hey, I know that God values me. I'm enough for him. He's going to find the right person. Now, it doesn't mean that your relationship is over. You can still go through Christian counseling and help you out. But make sure that your love is centered on God. And I think there's a song that says, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. All that's good and perfect comes from you. You're the source of my, I forgot the rest of it, comfort, all you do. That's where your center should be. Your enough comes from God. Am I good enough? It's coming from God, then you know the answer is yes. But if you're looking for it from someone else to be able to give you, you know, a qualification of you being worth loving, it can be very painful when that person tells you no.
And another thing that's very painful if that individual criticize you all the time. Nothing's ever good enough for them. They always have to make a point to say something that you're not doing, or they're so critical about everything now and it didn't used to be that way. And so now you're feeling like, okay, I'm not appealing to him or her. And every time I turn around, they have something negative to say. Now that one is like, wow, okay. So it makes you think, oh, am I being overly sensitive? Or is the person finding me less attractive, less appealing? Do they still want to be with me? That's one that really would make you, raise your ears up, along with the other one was when they criticize, half the time they're not complimenting you. It says that your partner does not compliment you. And I'm not just talking about the beauty or the body structure of a man or something, but overall, everything that they used to do in the beginning, now, baby, they finding is so far in between.
Yeah, and ladies, be careful with being with a man who wants to degrade how you look because he's jealous about other people looking at you. Don't allow that to be something that pulls you down because that's a issue that he has. And I'm speaking to the women who are married and the men who are doing this. Stop doing that. Saying that she's too thick, and this person it looks like a rail, but yet you want them to look even thinner because you don't like men looking at her. Now I'm gonna tell you something. When me and Brenda got married, I'm gonna say when, because what do you mean when? What do you mean? Let me just say this: when we guys got married, I mean, guys used to turn their heads all the time looking at her, and it would aggravate me to death. And I didn't sit there and tell Brenda, "Don't look good," because I wanted to look good for me, But I didn't. I wouldn't sit there and say, "You don't need to wear that. You look bad in this. You look terrible in that. You look." No, I mean, she's a great dresser. She just happens to be a beautiful woman that brothers want to look at. They can be disrespectful, and I got to understand it. But I wasn't going to knock her down because of that. You don't want to have someone in your life, and men, you chose this woman. If you're not complimenting her because you're concerned about her being with someone else or someone else looking at her, then you have the issue that you need to work on. Husbands, that's your wife. That's your queen. That's your gift. Honor her. It's okay to other men to go, hey, I'd rather have other men look at her than other men don't want to look at her. I mean, if I had to make a choice, I don't want to be like, oh, Jesus, where you get her from? I mean, I'm just saying, we're still Christian real 24/7. I'd rather for them to say, man, you got a fine looking wife. I mean, I had someone tell me that, and I basically said to them, what about yours? I already know what I got is fine. I chose her. How you get that fine wife? I'm like, why don't you have one? I don't sit there and get mad at my wife or try to put my wife down. And we can't let our self-consciousness or our fears and our doubts. She might be cheating. She do, and Satan will sometimes move you in that direction, but you've got to fight back. But not giving her compliments, and you're in a relationship. And ladies, if your husband is not giving you a compliment, don't beg for it. Just pray that God will open up Pharaoh's heart and allow him to see that what he has is the best thing he can ever have.
Amen.
But yet you have to think that way first. Compliment yourself. I mean, David said he made himself happy. You have to know yourself that you're worth what he should be given, and not allow him to take away that worth. Next thing.
You sort of did 1 and 2 together.
Okay, I didn't do anything. I don't know what you got over there.
With the physicality.
Okay.
Woman
Well, you
or
can
a
still
man,
talk about it as you get closer to the mic.
When a woman and a man, physical attributes start to change. Do you berate them, demean them? It could be an illness, sickness, aging. it's wrong to do that. Now I know this one particular person I know don't ever want to date nobody with gray hair, and you in your mid 60s, and it's like, okay, and you look at you're dyeing your hair for you. You know, if you stop, your hair would be gray, but that's okay. But you don't want the individual to have gray hair. So I keep thinking, well, you're just gonna be alone unless you're gonna be a cougar and just date super young or something.
There's a lot of them out there. I don't have a issue with a person's preference, but you can get a little bit crazy about it. I think we did this one thing with some of the girl talking about all the things that a person has to do or they don't want them to do. If you do this, and I'm like, okay, well then hey, you might be alone. I think when you start saying someone has to meet my requirements because of who I am, it shows a conceding. You're conceited that I need,
insecure.
I need this, and it's you want love, and we're talking about marriage, and so now you're married with that husband, and you tell him I need a ring every year. I need to upgrade. You got to do that. If you want to be, you got to take me here. You got to buy me this. You got to, and it's like, wait a minute. What you gonna do? It ain't about what I'm gonna do. It's what you need to do would be with me. That's not a way to be in a marriage.
Yeah.
And we'll say, I got to do this. If your husband has gained some weight or your wife has gained some weight, you sitting up there talking about them is not going to help them. Now, I know if I've gained some weight, a lot of it's been because of the prostate cancer. I've had arm problems. Last couple of years, I've been having all kinds of sciatic nerve pain, and I haven't really been able to do that. Back injury, I got a L4, L5, back injury. I think there was one time I went like 18 months where I just couldn't do anything. I was thankful to walk without some pain. But that doesn't mean that, Brenda should be sitting there telling me I don't want to be around you because you didn't gain some weight.
And she didn't gain some too.
I'm like,
hey.
but I'm just saying, you don't want to do something like that. And I just used me an example, but men will do that sometimes with their woman. Like, yeah, why did she get married? She don't even like to take care of herself. I'm like, and yeah, you do want someone that wants to take care of themselves. But that doesn't mean you knock them down and criticize them and, try to shame them into do it, because that's not what a marriage is supposed to be. And I'm going to say this again. We talk about it all the time. You got to remember that God is in the marriage too. God is in the marriage too. Hey, we're not going to stay on this that long because we've got, I think we got a relationship letter. We got a song that I need to play because I want to make sure we get this song in, the last song we're going to have in there. And I think, because I want to make sure we get all these people who are going to be on the SOAR Radio Awards. So, again, if you haven't heard about it, if you haven't been listening to this station, you haven't been listening to Let's Stay Together talk show, we've been playing music for people who are going to be at the SOAR Radio Awards 2024. SOAR Awards is going to be on March the 4th. This is going to be hosted by Todd Delaney and Jacqueline Carr. You definitely still have a chance to get your tickets at Ticketmaster for SOAR 2024. It's going to 2024 SOAR Awards. Make sure you check that out. And one of the people we're going to have playing a song right now is going to be Andrew Potts, and it's going to be Bless Your Home. So we're going to let this song play, and then the next 15 minutes, we're going to be having our relationship letter. Brenda's going to talk about a couple of things as well, and we'll have some plays, and then we'll bid you goodbye. But listen up, and we'll be right back. All right. So, again, people, I'm going to say this when we get on the radio, back on the radio. Make sure tomorrow you listen to the JD Morning Show each Wednesday between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. You have Justin Kenny again talking about a lot of related subjects that you want to hear. So make sure you check them out each Wednesday. The JD Morning Show is on 6 to 8 a.m. only on SOAR Radio. And if you're interested also of being a SOAR Radio participant, you can call SOAR at SOARradio.com. Have your own show. It could be a show like this. You could be talking about other gospel things. It could be Doesn't have to necessarily be gospel, but we want to keep it clean. They'll let you know about that information as well. It could be a church broadcast. It could be a church podcast. Whatever you want it to be, you want to be here. And if you love church music, you like church, you love God, you want to be on the station that has this 2024 SOAR Radio Awards, where all of the stars come out to Rockford, Illinois, to sing and praise the Lord, and you're going to be a part of that station like we are. So make sure if you're interested in doing the show, you contact them at soar@soarradio.com. Baby, do we have any last stories left? Okay, we don't have any stories left on there. I did see one story, and I was trying to look it up. They were looking for this little girl that this man had kidnapped, and they recently found her, and we wanted to pray for that family. I'm trying to see if I could find the thing on CNN, one of the shows I listen. Here it goes. Here, this is a Texan girl found in a river by sheriffs. Her name is Ederal. How do you say that first name right there? You see it? Audrey. Okay, that's a strange way. Audrey Cunningham. She disappeared from school last Thursday, and officials found her body. 11-year-old girl. We're praying for the Cunningham family. Man, I still think about that song that I heard from Lou Ross one time singing, "What's the matter with the world? Has the world gone mad?" And it says, "Nothing wrong with the world. It's just the people that's in it." Wow. I mean, this killing that we're having, then you get people just killing people senselessly. I mean, there's no sense in killing. I mean, you can protect yourself. We understand that, but I mean, we've having this situation in Palestine and Israel against Gaza and the Gaza Strip. You have it with Russia and Ukraine. Vladimir Putin just killed Navalny, which is one of the person who was really against the things that Putin was doing in the world, and they killed him with this drug called Novichok. And they tried to poison him once before with that, and he lived. And I guess this time it was successful. We need to be praying for our world. We definitely need to pray for our world because it's sad about what's going on. You have a championship game. The Chiefs won the championship, and they're out there celebrating the thing, and then people are shooting at the party. It's getting to be very sad. And as for African Americans, we really need to start getting our young people, like we're just talking with Rami. We need to get people back into having respect and love. We get back to that old Negro spiritual, young, gifted, and black.
Yeah.
That would have been a great song to play ourselves here. But it's something we have to get back to. Start listening to those old Martin Luther King tapes, and also what did he say? I forgot the man's name. What's the other man? Wow, how can I forget his name? The movie we saw, what's his name? Denzel Washington played. What was the guy's name? How can I forget that name? I'm sorry, I forgot that.
Washington.
Yeah, he played the
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. Thank you. And let me tell you something. The people ain't gonna like this. As radical as he sounds, we've got someone here that does a lot of good preaching. And I'm telling you right now, people, my brain is going blank, blank, blank. They're Elijah Muhammad. Not Elijah Muhammad, but Farrakhan. People will speak ill against him, but Farrakhan has spoken a lot of truths about a lot of things. I'm sure people are like, I can't believe that. He's spoken a lot of truth about a lot of things that have happened to black people. Militant, he says some things you're like, you're taking that too far. But I mean, we have black voices out there that used to stand up for, for the rights of blacks. We still have them out there. The unfortunate thing is that the world, or the, television people, which I try to get someone on here to talk about, are more concerned about showing black negative stories than black positive stories. And so we've got to change the narrative. If we don't want them to show black negative stories, we've got to stop allowing them to find black negative stories. We got to move negativity out of our community, out of our mentality, and get back to a point where we just say, we're not doing that anymore. Get ready to get back on the air, everybody. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Let's Stay Together talk show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. I said this on the Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you watch the JD Morning Show each Wednesday between the hours of 6 and 8 a.m. only on Soar Radio. And if you're thinking about having your own radio show, make sure you contact them at soar@soarradio.com. Baby, what do you have for us?
I'm going to do the two shortest before I go to Let's Play.
We don't know
in
what
the
that is.
Letters.
Go ahead.
Club 50. Got a good one for your sweet tooth. Tomorrow it is Club 50 Golden Devo interview for the Love Month. I had the pleasure of interviewing Spencer Cotton. They call him the Cake Man. He is the founder of Cakes of Praise. If you had a chance to see the slideshow today, these cakes are being praised because they are custom made and they are so beautiful. So you get to read about his journey becoming a pastry baker at the club50.com. Check it out. It's a great story of his journey.
Food, the cupcakes and stuff, but cakes are good too.
Oh my God. It used to be, remember, cakes in a jar?
Yeah.
And he then blew up from that. 5 years in the business. I love it. So proud of him. Also, Ife Designs. If you're looking for that wow factor for your prom and wedding season, it is about to come amongst us. Hit me up. I could do other things as well. The banners, the flyers, the posters. But I know those are the two biggest things that's about to come this way. If you want something different, please, if you have my number, call me or text me. If you're on social media, message me, for we could get started on something beautiful for you at efaithdesigns@gmail.com. You could email me. Now we're going to go to Let's Play. Writers Theater. The band's visit. Gave it 4 stars. Will be here until the March 17th. What did you like about that, band?
I thought it was, I've seen the band's visit before, and it was kind of, and I enjoyed it. But this one was a little bit more livelier. They got more into the cast. They had less band members, but they had like people playing in the band, and it was so much more livelier and more entertaining that they had this time. And so I really enjoyed that. That they allowed you to get more involved in the person's relationship. The thing starts out, their band went to go visit Israel. You probably didn't hear about it. It's not very important, but it was just basically how this band went to the wrong location and then, met some people that are totally different than them because of different nationalities, but yet how the common thing of they were going through brought them together. And I just thought the music was great. The singing was great. And it was just all in all fun play.
Okay, this next one, I'm going to take you to CIBC Theater. This one is Girl from the North Country. It is going to be playing until February the 25th. That was a good one. I was surprised with that. The singing was just so beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Singing was excellent. It's probably the best touring ensemble singing you will ever hear. The harmony, the pitch, everything was on point. It's a play that's not your typical play. They call it like a jukebox play where you just play music. It's got Bob Dylan's music is out there. If you don't know who Bob Dylan is, just look back into the 60s and stuff like that. He's made a lot of great hits. And a lot of the music he was playing is not his top hits, but the songs are made for this production. And the production is, different. It's got the girl from the North Country. You really never get a chance to see who she is, but you get a chance to see the lives of all these people back in the Great Depression. And it was, it kind of throws you off a little because it's not typically like the same usual play, you see who the protagonist is, and you know who that person is. In this, you don't really know, but there's so much great, acting in there that they're doing that if you really like play productions, you will like this. If you're not really used to it, you'll be like, okay, what's happening? Because it's really not centered around just one individual. It jumps around to different people and different lives, but it connects well, and it does have some people not necessarily like it because it's not that standard kind of musical production. But if you take some time and just really listen to it, you'll enjoy it.
Okay, and next we have The Second City presents Black by Popular Demand, a Black Excellence Review, and it's going to be here until May the 25th at Second City again. Our review will be coming out soon on this.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to send me the name of the skits. But what did you think about that?
It was hitting on some stuff. It was cute to me. It really was. It was entertaining.
Can you explain cute?
Um,
Was it funny?
It was funny, but it
Okay.
was all the things that to me you have to be an African American to really get. But it was more than us just there that night that seemed as though they was laughing and got some of the stuff. But I think one of the skits, Making It to Heaven, tickled me.
Yeah, and I think the one with the chair got me a little bit too.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I mean, and skit comedy, especially when you go to, Second City here in Chicago. If you go to Second City anywhere, because they got them in different locations, the genre is based on, typically on race, and so we go a chance to see some at different locations, and you have to know what they're talking about. But it was all in all pretty good. 6 minutes and we got to do this a relationship letter. So
Okay.
if y'all don't know, me and Brenda do plays in the Let's Play Theatrical Review. You can go to letsplaytheatricalreview.com and see all of our plays and find out what play you would like to go to. But definitely, especially for African Americans, go out and see plays because there's a lot of African Americans all around the Chicagoland area that is doing some great productions. They just want to see some of the people that look like them out there as well.
Yes. Now, dear LSTT, the other day I was scrolling on Facebook and came across a hot topic that I wanted to share with you.
What is it?
A father wished his daughter happy birthday, and the comments was rolling in on how he inappropriately, how he said it. LSTT, the father said, "Happy birthday to my fine, sexy daughter." I thought it was inappropriate for a father to address his daughter like that. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on the matter? Sincerely, very inappropriate.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm a little bit upset because this is what I said to my daughter, and I don't like the fact that it's on the show.
Right.
Okay.
We will have a daughter.
That's just between me and my fine and sexy daughter.
That's cold.
How do I feel about this? As a father, I don't think I would want to talk to my daughter that way. It does sound somewhat inappropriate for a father to do that. But then I have to say to myself, looking at it outside of my own thought process, is this the kind of relationship that they have? Is this how the father encourages his daughters? Is that's just what he was shown to do, he learned to do? And it may seem inappropriate to us, but does she feel, that it's inappropriate? Or does it bother her or does it trouble her? Because it is his relationship with his daughter. And so I kind of step back a little bit and say, do I want to make a judgmental statement about what he's doing with his daughter if they too are okay with that? So I border on no, I don't think it's appropriate to do that, especially out loud that other people can hear because they probably think that there's something wrong. We live in this culture now where everything is going wrong. But I don't want to condemn a father-daughter's relationship if that relationship is something that works for them. And so in that vein, I would say if it works for them, I'm not gonna really, get bothered by it.
Right, if it works for them. But earlier when it popped back up and I was reading some more of the comments that someone said, he don't have a daughter. And another person's, y'all know that's cold, right? That's probably somebody he fooling around with. I'm like, wow. I hope that's not the case because she was young.
Well, I
young
mean, but
looking.
we're assuming. Let's be on the assumption that it's his daughter, and stop trying to throw other innuendos and situations in there. It could, if that's the case, that's the case. But we're talking about the daughter,
Right. I
And-
think it's inappropriate,
Yeah.
but hey.
I mean, and it sounds like it could be inappropriate. I wouldn't do that myself, but I would rather. I'm more concerned about the foundation, or how their relationship is working. If it's working well, and that's something that she's okay with her father saying, then I think that that's okay. But out loud, you may want to be careful with it because other people might, look, it might, make them feel uncomfortable. And we're in a world, we got to be concerned about what other people think sometimes. But I don't want to condemn the father for that. If that's something he's saying out of love, he's choosing the wrong words, but he's just saying that he has a beautiful daughter, and he's choosing different words to say it.
Okay, well, sincerely very inappropriate. That's how we feel about it.
And
Just
speaking of
choosing the wrong
inappropriate, it is so inappropriate that it's time for us to get out of here. So we're gonna get out of here. We got 30 seconds. We ain't gonna have no time to play a song. So make sure you check us out next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We will see you then. See you later. Bye-bye. All right. For those of you all that are still listening to us on Facebook and YouTube, we appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Make sure you come back next week because I think we're going to be talking about something affirmation.
That's with the boys.
Yeah, that's going to be with the students, and I can't think of the words right now. My brain is just going everywhere. But we're going to have a great show talking about African Americans and people of color trying to get into school now, and the quota, for lack of words, has changed where colleges don't have to have a certain amount of quota of people in there, and so now they have to make sure they had enough blacks that they accepted or into the school, or other minorities, and not just make it all white. And so that has been contested and removed in some places, and how that's going to make it harder for black students to get into schools like Yale and Harvard if they can make their own decision. Not that they're not smart enough. It's just that these boards are making their own decisions, and they may just say, we don't want that many blacks in the school anymore. And so we're going to talk about that. So, hey, make sure you join us next week, and we look forward to hearing you, and bring some people with you, because we're going to have a panel discussion with a lot of young kids, and it's going to be for the entire show. So it's going to be great. And we'll see you next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Bye-bye.